All right, Paul, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your opportunity to sound off. If you feel like you really want to talk about something, I'm Dr. Bob, and I'm here to talk to you about what you need to do next, which is understand it's just a game. Although based on some of the tweets I've seen, you'd never think that. 412-575-2600, that is the number to call here on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We take your calls, we want your tweets, we want your opinions about what happened today, and for that matter, tomorrow, Steelers-Seahawks, first home game of the year. Your expectations after that flat and embarrassing performance last week at New England. We'll get into that, but of course the big news today was Pitt-Penn State, the 100th meeting. Should never be the end of this rivalry, but you know, for all intents and purposes, we're not going to see this again anytime soon. If you remember when it ended the last time in 2000, it took 16 years to get it back, and it may take even longer than that this time, and that's a shame. It's just a function of greed in the college football game. Rivalries and fans don't really matter, to be honest. It's about what's best for each institution financially, and to some degree I understand, but I still think, you know, they should have a way, both sides, get together, figure it out, and come up with a fair solution. What would that be? Well, I always say 1 for 1. A lot of people believe Pitt should play 2 for every 1 they play here up there. I'm not a fan of that, but Pitt could do that if they want. I just don't think that's the right way to go. Some people talk about neutral sites. I don't like that either. You play at the site of that team. Now, Penn State, obviously, you know, they don't need to have Pitt because they're going to sell out 108,000 anyway, and good for them. It's a wonderful atmosphere for football. There's no question. And they're off to a 3-0 start, although I thought Pitt was the better team today. Pitt needs Penn State more than Penn State needs Pitt. But they ultimately, you would think, because of regional football, need each other. I say this about Pitt, West Virginia as well, just my opinion. Meantime, as far as the game itself, I thought Pitt was the better football team. They passed the ball certainly better. Their run game was non-existent, though, averaged 1 yard per rush on average. Penn State has a good team, but their quarterback is young, inexperienced. I thought Kenny Pickett was much better today, of course. 372 yards, his best game of his career. He was very good about knowing when to run, stood in the pocket, stepped up in the pocket, made plays. And it's a shame it came down to 1st and goal from the 1. And yes, they did not succeed on 1st down, 2nd down, or 3rd down. And that's good for Penn State. They reached out, they did what they had to do. Yet on 4th down, and keep in mind Pitt was 3 for 3 on 4th down prior to that play, they didn't even try for it. They were 3 for 3. They converted 3rd and 15. They converted 3rd and 11 today. They converted 2nd and 19. They proved they can move the ball. They had some play action, a 36-yarder on 4th down. Good play call by Mark Whipple earlier. And yet at that point of the game, with under 5 minutes left and only 1 timeout, you're down by a score. You must try to score a touchdown there. Must. There's no other decision. I'm sorry. Nothing makes sense to me other than that. The reason? Number one, it's not a 2-score game. It's a 1-score game. If you're going to win the game, at least at the end of regulation, you need 1 score to tie it up. Yes, ultimately 2 to win, but if you believe that, then score the touchdown and kick the 2-point or add a 2-point conversion if you want 2 scores. Number 2, if you fail, and they didn't kick it anyway, it wouldn't have mattered. If you fail, you got Penn State backed up at their own 1-yard line. There is absolutely a good chance, and Pitt hasn't forced a turnover all year, but something bad could happen there that would favor Pitt. So, and Penn State would have to be conservative, you would think. And who's to say you would have gotten the ball back anyway? Even if you made that field goal, which they didn't, but if they did, let's say, Penn State gets the ball. If they had 1 more 1st down, it would have burned the clock. Pitt would never have touched the ball again. It made no sense to do what they did. But they did, and they lost the game. Much better performance by Pitt. I'm encouraged by their defense. You know, they lost defensive linemen, and yet I thought Twyman was outstanding. They have a lot of guys on that defense. Their secondary was real good. Paris Ford, I think, made 11 tackles. Should have had an interception if not for the interference. So there's a lot that you can like about Pitt's game right now and the way they're playing, at least today. But they got another tough one next week, too, with Central Florida. But that call should not have been made. Sorry. That's just the way it is. If you have an opinion about it, one way or the other, call here at 412-575-2600. Also, we're talking about West Virginia. They won today. So Neil Brown won, excuse me, after a slow start. And they made it look pretty good against a decent NC State team today as they won down there. And they used a block punt to really put the game out of reach. So we have that to talk about. The Pittsburgh Penguins, day 2 of their training camp. I want to take some hockey talk here because they have 3 new players up front, and I think it's a rather interesting trio with Alex Galchenyuk along with Brandon Tanev, who is the free agent signing, and someone who I'm really intrigued to see, Dominic Cahoon. He was acquired in the Ole Mata trade from Chicago. Cahoon, is he a first liner? I mean, he played with Taves and Kane last year. Should he be there? Should he be on the third line? Where should he be? We'll talk about that. Pirates lose again. They've given up 31 runs in 2 days in Chicago. Losing yesterday 17-8, losing today 14-1. And to make matters worse, it was Austin Meadows who hit his 30th home run last night for Tampa Bay. We're just getting started. Call us with your take right here. 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly on Pittsburgh CW.